Have you recently purchased a new or used vehicle, or perhaps you're researching for a new or used vehicle, but you're wondering how to set up and use all the technology that we find in a driver's information system and the infotainment screen? If so, you're at the right place. Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today I'm going to show you how to do just that. But before I do, take a moment to give us a like and hit that subscribe button down below. Let's get started.
Today we're working with our friends at Morrie's 394 Hyundai in St. Louis Park, Minnesota.
Welcome to our how-to video on the driver's information screen and the infotainment screen on the 2021 Hyundai Sonata N Line. And we'll start with the driver's information screen. So this is a 12.3-inch digital screen. It's configurable, and we'll go through and show you how to do that. On this screen, you've got, of course, your speedometer on the left. You've got your tach on the right. Below the speedometer, you have a fuel gauge, and below the tach, you have got an engine temperature gauge. At the very bottom, you've got a distance to empty on the left. You've got a parking brake indicator if that's on. You've got an outdoor ambient temperature. Then you have the blue line is your instant fuel economy. Your average fuel economy is written in the numbers next to that. And then if you're not in a normal mode, anything but normal mode, that will show up right after your average miles per gallon right there. It just takes a little while to come on. And then you have your odometer. Now, since we're on the modes right here, as I switch, especially Sport and Sport Plus, okay, you see you've got that Sport Plus, and then Sport has just about exactly the same here, if not the same. So that's nice that they do the changes in the colors there. Okay, but the 3D graphics are really nice, and they look very realistic when you're in person. I don't know how well that comes across on camera, but they look really great in the car. Okay, at the very top you do have your gear selector on the top left, so that'll switch between the different gears and show you. And as you notice, the tach gauge becomes a message center for any messages in the car. That's kind of where that comes out. And then you've got some dummy lights right next to your gear selector, and those will show up there. Now, what we can change is in the middle of the screen. So to do that, we're going to use this button and this button. Now this button you can go up, down, or push for OK. So we'll start with this. Now, typically when you're in a car like this, you'll see like when you press this, you'll see like a menu on most Hyundais. This doesn't have that. So in this picture, you have 3 gauges, and that's all you get. But it's really cool. So you got an oil temperature at the top. On the left, you've got a torque measured in Newton meters, and then on the far right, you have the PSI for the turbo. Now, and you can see those move a little bit there. If I press the menu button again, then I go to driver assistance. So in that screen, if you've got your cruise control on, it'll show up. If you've got your lane keeping assist on, it'll show up. See, like right now it's off, and if I push this little steering wheel button, it comes back on again. But your adaptive cruise and stuff will show up here. I can't turn the cruise on now because I have to be moving. So that's all you get in this screen. If I push it again, you're going to get compass or turn-by-turn directions if your navigation is running with the course set in it. If I press it again, now I've got 3 screens. You can see the dots on the right. So right now what's showing is accumulated trip info. So that never resets unless you touch it. You have got the driver's attention level. So if you're not holding on the steering wheel, if you're weaving, the score is of course going to be lower than what you see there. Tire pressure. And then here's where you can select the content. So you push and hold. And now you can see the little blue box next to drive info. If I check mark that, it's going to allow that to appear in my screen. So I'm going to go down. I'm going to say sense refueling. Let's see, I want a digital speedometer. And I think they're all check marked now. Yep. There's 5 total screens. You can see that on the right. So now I'm going to press the menu button to exit. And now as I go through, I get the tire pressure that I had, attention level that I had, but here's my digital speedometer that I added. I had accumulated info before, but I didn't have since refueling. So that's kind of nice to have that in there. And then you've got drive info. Now, drive info resets itself if the car is shut off for more than 3 minutes. Okay? And then we're back to select contents. Okay? If I hit the menu button again, I am back to the gauges. So that's it for the driver's information screen. Next, we're going to move over to the infotainment screen. So the infotainment screen itself is 10.25 inches, and it has a 12-speaker Bose premium audio system that runs the sound. It does have AM and FM radio, HD radio, Sirius XM, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto, both of which are a wired connection, and of course a 4G Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, it has a bunch of capacitive touch buttons right here, so there's no actual button, you just touch the word. So you have shortcuts for map, nav. The start button is a customizable button, and I'll get to that in a little bit. You've got your power and volume here, that's the only actual physical button. Then you got other shortcuts to radio, media, seek and track, to change tracks on, say, iTunes or something like that, or to change radio stations. And then you have a setup button. So on the home screen, you get the sort of the basic icons that you see in the shortcuts anyway. So you got map, navigation, phone, this kind of stuff. You have a few additional things. You got sounds of nature. You've got HD radio data, voice memo, Blue Link, and media that you don't have as shortcuts. All right. But basically, you know, these function like apps on your phone. Okay, if I hit Apple CarPlay, it goes right to my phone. Okay, now, if I want to go back, there is no physical back button, so I would just go back here to media, and then I could go back home. I wish that when you were in something like, say, Apple CarPlay, there was a button to push to take you directly back home. But there isn't. If I hit this button, then you know, that disappears, but you still get just Apple CarPlay sitting here. And it doesn't change. There is a way to configure this, and I'll show you that. But let's go back here just to set up for a minute. Let's go back to home. All right. The difference between the map and the navigation buttons is that map actually takes you to the map. Navigation menu takes you to all the settings that you can make in navigation. So this button is kind of a one-time push. But over here, you've got places, POI categories, previous destinations, address book that'll pull off your phone, Hyundai dealerships. This is where your cancel route button is, route overview, edit route, route options. And then you have 3 favorites you can save plus home. Okay. Now, if I go into settings from there, this is where you can make a lot of one-time changes. So the map, for instance, I mean, look at this. You can change the font size. You can change the map color. You can change the map display. So I'll turn on to display traffic. And then you can choose which POI show up in your screen. You want pharmacies to show up all the time, or shopping for groceries or pharmacies? There you go. Check mark them, they're on. If you don't want them on, just click them again and the check marks disappear. Ooh, we better leave coffee shops on there. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. That's just display. Now you look at guidance. You can show guidance distance, okay, interval or cumulative distance. And then you have others here. You can look at previous destination settings, fuel price information. You can set that. You can look at GPS information if you need to get that. So lots of things that you can set right there just for the navigation. Now, every screen we go into is going to have a little menu button next to the home button. And if I click that, what it brings up will depend on what the window is showing. So here we have search for settings, turn the display off, or a user manual, which I think is easier just to watch our videos. But all right, let's go back one more. If I go to map now, this is the actual navigation map. You notice this little arrow? Well, if I bring that back, okay, now I've got some arrows in here. So I can slide up, I can get weather information if I set it up. I can get a compass with GPS information. I can get a clock. I can get a navigation map. Now, you may see, well, why would you do that? Well, maybe you have media over here. So the point is you can have a split screen. Or you can click that and make this app full screen. Now, in the navigation window itself, you have zoom in, zoom out, and it will tell you how far you're zoomed out right there. You have navigation volume. You can turn that up or down. You have a check box for lowering any other volume when navigation prompts are playing. So it'll turn your music down when the navigation has a prompt for you. You can change the orientation of your map. Then, of course, you have the home key. Now, let's say down here, I can go down here and I can look at nearby POIs. If I'm on a route, I can get options for my route. I can save, and I can turn the traffic display on or off really quickly. Let's say I want to search for something. So I could go in here and type in McDonald's. Click on it. It'll search. It'll find one. I'll click on it. Click on it again. And now I can set it as a destination. Okay. Tells you your basic miles and your minutes. Okay, let's say we're going to start the guidance.
Please proceed to the highlighted route. Then the route guidance will start.
Now, if you make a detour somewhere and you don't want the navigation chiming at you, but you don't want to reset it, you do have a pause route function right there. But again, to cancel it, you're going to have to go back to home, back to navigation menu, and back to cancel route. I do wish they would put a cancel button right in the screen, but other than that, it functions really well. You can also use voice command to state where you want to go, or an address or a POI, and you can do it all by voice. Even when they give you the selections, it'll ask you to pick a line, and all you got to do is say number 2, and it will start the course for you. So, really nice screen. I like that you can expand full screen. Okay, let's go back to home. Phone. Okay, right now it's running on Apple CarPlay. So you can see favorites, recents, contacts. You can go into your keypad right here, or your voicemail. Now, Apple CarPlay, if you've never seen it before, is basically running your phone through your infotainment screen. It's really, really nice. I can go straight to Pandora. I can go straight to Apple Maps. However, I can use Waze or other apps too. And to see all the things that will work, I press this, okay? And I'm gonna press it one more time. And now, here are all the apps I can do. So there's Apple Maps, there's Google Maps, that'll work, and there's Waze. Okay, if you don't have SiriusXM on your car, you can use it through your phone if you want. Okay, so all these things will show up. All right, let's go back. Again, there's no home button here, so I'm gonna go to Setup, and I'm gonna go to Home. All right, Blue Link is free for 3 years and provides a number of services, all the way from remote starting your car, to locating your car on a parking lot, to setting a timer reminder for a parking meter, to actually tracking your car if it's stolen, slowing down your car if it's stolen, geofencing, even has a curfew warning built into it. So lots of things you can do through Blue Link. You get 3 years for free, and then you need to pay a subscription fee. Now, radio and media. So what a Hyundai does is they give you a button that goes straight to the radio. And then from there, if you click on band, you can pick, do I want Sirius XM radio, AM radio, or FM radio? Okay, if I click on media instead, then from here, if I hit a menu, I can go to media sources. Now I can get my Apple CarPlay or my Sounds of Nature. If you haven't heard the Sounds of Nature, basically they're Hyundai built, so they're really good quality recordings. But if you don't want to listen to music and you just want some background sound, you know, and you've got lively forest, rainy day, open air cafe, lots of things that you just want some background sound. All right, let's go back and talk about radio for a minute, because AM and FM and Sirius XM all work the same way. You want to change a channel, you can just, if you know what the channel is, you can go right here and you can punch it in. Okay, if you want to pause it, there it is. If it's not a live event, typically then you can use this button to skip forward. You can't, because this was live, and then you can skip backwards. If you want to make a favorite, simply click the star there, and you notice that it appears in your favorites list over here. You'll also know that your favorite list includes FM favorites, AM favorites, and Sirius XM favorites. So they put them all together. So there's how you select a channel. There's the favorites. There's how you make a favorite. Now, if I go into menu here, I can say delete presets. Okay, and I can take a look at any one of these. And if I check mark them, I can say delete, or I can mark all and delete. That's how you get rid of them. You want to go to a favorite? Just click on it. There's your HG radio on or off button. Okay, now let's take a quick look at AM, because it's the same way. Here you go. You have tuning buttons right here. Your favorite button right there. Favorites appear over here. And then you can go over to menu here. If you want to enter a station, look at a station list, delete presets. Also, your sound settings, besides the volume button that's right here. So here we go. You got sound tuning, so your treble, mid-range, bass, and your fader. You have driving guidance volumes. So anything that's chattering at you while you're driving, you can make settings right here. System volumes, okay? Dynamic speed compensation, so it raises the music when you're going faster, lowers the volume when you're going slower. And then startup volume limit. Okay, what that'll do is it'll lower the media volume lower than what the factory setting was, if the factory setting was higher. And then you've got FM radio noise control right here that you can make changes on. All right, let's go back. So that is the radio. Now, we already took a look at media. If you had a USB plugged in, that would appear there as well. Sounds of nature is what we already heard under media with those 4 sounds in the outdoor rain cafe. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, these are your shortcuts to them right here. Now, HD radio data is traffic, Doppler radar, and fuel price. So if I click on Doppler radar, I could get an actual Doppler radar of the area I'm driving through, which is really nice. All right, I'm gonna go back twice. You can create a voice memo if you want, just by clicking on here, hit record and make a voice memo. Setup. Okay, setup is, these 2 buttons are the same. So what setup does is allows you to configure some things, like here's your user profile. Sound, we've already looked at that, but there's another way to it. Voice recognition. The voice command system can learn, it's intelligent, it can learn how you pronounce things, and so if you go through some training in here, it'll actually work a little better. Okay, you also have choices between beginner, standard, and expert, and that would be referring to you as the user. All right, you can look at your different devices that are connected, and you can look at the Bluetooth stuff. We don't have any Android Auto, but you can look at Apple CarPlay. I guess I can't do that if you're in there, but you can even do things like your Bluetooth prompts. You can mute them if you want. All right, let's go back one. Let's look under vehicle. Now under vehicle, you're going to have quite a few things, and we won't go into all of them, but driver assistance is one that's a good thing to look at. So first of all, under driving convenience, you have got highway driving assist and highway auto curve slowdown check marked. So if you're driving your car, you notice, oh, I'm automatically slowing down, okay, you can take that off. Okay, you've got warning timing. Do you want it to provide a normal warning when there's something about to happen, or not until just before it happens? Warning volumes. Okay, you can set to high, medium, or low. driver attention warning, the leading vehicle departure alert. If that's checkmarked, if you're at a stoplight or stop sign and the car ahead of you goes, but you don't notice, the car will beep at you. And then you could also have a warning for inattentive driving when your hands are off the steering wheel, that kind of stuff, when you're weaving back and forth. Now, here's some of our safety systems. So forward safety, active assist, you can have it be all the way on, active assist, warning only, or off. And it's kind of the same for all of these. Assist, warning only, or off. But if it does assist, it'll turn the wheel for you. Blind spot safety and parking safety, and that turns on the rear cross traffic. Okay, I'm going to go back one. That's just driver assistance. So, under drive mode, here's where you set that custom mode we saw on the dashboard. So, I can change the powertrain in normal mode to Sport Plus. I can change the steering to Sport, and I can change let's see, traction control, I'll maybe leave that normal. But that way when I go to that custom mode, all those settings I made will take place. Okay? And that's where we do it. Drive mode change alert. If you turn this on, if you watch the screen here, what will happen is you get a kind of display every time you change. See? Now Sport Plus looks the same. Custom gets a different color. And then normal gets a different color. But you get a little graphic view. Otherwise, it just shows up on your driver's information screen. Okay? You can set some things with your climate. For instance, you can, when you activate it can activate the recirculatory process when the windshield wiper fluid is used. You can have auto dehumidify on, and you can have auto defog and defrost on. Okay, let's take a look at cluster for a minute. Okay, that refers to the driver's information screen. You can have a welcome sound play when you start the car. You can set the service interval right here. You can reset the fuel economy, and you can look at content selection. So right now it's going to give you wiper and lights display and icy road warning. But if you want traffic signs, such as speed limits, that can show up too. And that's where you select those. Okay. Convenience. Rear occupant alert, again, it'll show up in the TAC gauge when you stop the car and get out. Just a reminder to check your back seat. You can turn on or off the wireless charging system here. Now, the digital key can either be like a credit card type size card from Hyundai, or it can be your smartphone. Either one, you hold up the door handle, it'll automatically unlock the card, and then you set it in the wireless charging pad area, and then you can use that as your key to start the car. That's basically it for this area. There are a few more things that you can click on, your lights and your door, if you want to go look at those things as well. Now, display. Right here, you can set the illumination mode to automatic so that this display will get brighter during the daylight and dimmer at night. Or you can turn to always daylight or always night. Or you can link it to the cluster illumination control, which is just to the left of the steering wheel. It's actually a physical button. So if I turn that and I set that on, it's a little hard to see, but it is getting a little bit dimmer and a little bit brighter as I change. Okay, you do have a blue light filter that you can use, and you can turn that on here, and then you can set the settings for it, and you've got a few more underneath here, including a time that you could play a spot that you can actually schedule things. You can have on your screensaver, you can have a digital clock or an analog clock, and that's what it looks like. So here you can edit the order that you want the home screen icons to show up. There's 3 that show up. So if I want radio media here instead, I can just put that there. Where is that screen? Well, if I go to the home menu and then I go backwards or to the right for a page, here they all are. Okay, so that's what I customized. You're changing what appears in these 3 screens. Okay, let's go back to setup. Let's go back up to display for a minute. All right, you can have, you can edit the home icons. So if you don't want, if you don't use the map very much or navigation, but use Apple CarPlay a lot, if you click here, you can drag Apple CarPlay up to the very top, and then when you go home screen, there is Apple CarPlay right away. So it's customizable as to what, what order they come in. All right, and then the last one I'll show you here is the split screen. So a split screen here is this, remember I pushed that little arrow? Well, here are all the things that can appear, and they're all check marked. But the other thing you can do here is grab this little 3 lines here, and I can say I want clock to come right after weather. And if I do that, and then I go over here, then it changes that order. Okay. Now, the screens are really nice, but they're mostly informative. Like, for instance, none of the buttons are touchable. They're just an indication of what's the car is set at. All right, I'm gonna go back to setup here a minute. Okay, that's display. Now, there are 3 buttons or 2 buttons in this car that you can customize, and the star is one of them, and it can be set to do one thing. So nothing, or I can do home screen, Bluetooth audio, phone projection, which would be Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, Blue Link, display on and off, or HD radio. So, like, let's just say that I wanted it to be home because I kind of wanted a home button. Well, if I press the start button now, I go back to the home screen. Okay. The other button that's adjustable is a mode button on the steering wheel, and for that you can select all these things. Basically, it'll take you through your different media sources. And if I check mark all of these, well, USB won't matter because there's no USB hooked up. However, I go to my mode button and I click, I'll get Sirius XM, Nature, Apple CarPlay, FM, and AM. And then I'm back to Sirius XM because I don't have a USB stick in there. Okay, so 2 customizable buttons there. Under General, you can look at updates right here, software information, system information. You look at your data from your address book, or actually you can import. Under My Data, you can import address book and previous destinations from a USB, or export an address book and previous destinations to USB. You can set the date and time right here. You can change the language right here. You can select a keyboard, and you can change the different units that you want. So if you want kilometers per hour, there that is. There's miles per hour. All right, I'm going to hit the home button again. All right, so I'm going to go back to setup here, and then the last one's Blue Link, which I've already talked about, so we won't talk about that one. If I do click display off, then I get that screen. Remember, I can set a digital clock or an analog clock. That's what it is. It gives you like a calm screen. If I tap it, everything comes back. Again, you got that menu button, and I can reorder the icons, search for settings, or go to a user's manual if I want. So that is the infotainment screen. I hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.